Again, my name is Courtney Cunningham. I'm the Assistant Dean in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences for Student Services. Today what we're going to go over are things to consider when you're choosing a major. Your major, what the difference is between your major and your future career. What happens if you change your mind? That's a common question that we get often. And then I'll open it up at the end for you to ask me any questions that you have. So here are the top 7 things that, in my opinion, you should consider when you're choosing a major. So the first one being, what are you interested in and what are you passionate about? And we're going to go through all of these 7 things in a little more detailed as we go on. But considering that, so you should always be picking a major based on your interests and your passion, not necessarily what maybe your friends or your family is interested in, but you also have to be interested in it too. Your family and friends can also be interested in it, but it's your major. So it needs to be something that you are passionate about. Your skills, what are you good at? If you're really a great writer and math isn't your strong point, maybe we're leaning towards a major that has more writing versus something that has a ton of math. Now, that's not to say that you can't do something that has some math in it, of course, but you probably want to pick something that, lends itself to your skills. Your values and priorities, what matters to you? And when I meet with students, I often hear them say, I want to help people, as an example, I want to make a great living. And where do those things fall on your list? And that can all go into things to consider. Your environment. Do you want to work on a big team? Do you want to work alone? Do you want to have your own business? Do you want to be able to work remotely? All of those things you should consider, because, for example, if you want to be a teacher, you probably can't have one remote day a week, or you can't work completely remotely. Maybe that's important to you, maybe it's not, but just, again, something to consider. Do your research and understand all of your options. So a lot of times schools have majors that a lot of students, coming up from K to 12 don't even know about or haven't heard about. I know that is the case for a lot of our students and was the case for me when I was, starting to look at colleges a while ago. So I think that's something that is important to see all of your options, and looking at schools, consider reading all of the majors. And for those that you're not familiar about, ask questions about them and learn, what that curriculum is. Use your Gen Ed courses and your electives. Most students and most majors, you have some freedom and wiggle room in there to take some courses that you're interested in, but they don't necessarily go towards a major or a minor, maybe at the beginning. And that is a great opportunity for you to get your get your feet wet, or to get experience in a subject matter that you maybe didn't know much about. So for example, I had a student as a freshman, and they took a sociology class. They didn't know what sociology was. They were not familiar with it at all. They took a class, they loved the class, they loved the professor, they end up minoring in sociology. And it's something that coming in, they didn't know anything about. And I hear that story over and over again. It's very common. So don't be afraid to try something new in a different subject area that you might not know something about, because you never know where that may lead. And then considering your career interests. Sometimes majors and careers can go very much hand in hand. Other times it's not as clear. Especially when we're in the humanities and social sciences, a lot of those majors, there's not one set pathway to what career you can choose, which is a great thing in a lot of ways. And sometimes it's scary in a lot of ways because you can go in so many different directions. For example, our psychology majors, they work in a bunch of different industries. They can go on to be teachers. They go on to be therapists, like clinical psychology. They go on to be psychiatrists. They go to work in HR, human resources. Some of them go work in business or finance. There are so many options with where they can go and what they end up doing. And some of those do require a graduate degree, but there's just a lot. It's a very broad major. And a lot of the majors within the humanities and social sciences offer that option in that there's not one direct path. It's more about developing your skills, your communication skills, your analytical skills, your critical thinking skills, and taking them and then going to your career and bringing them in. And I think I'll get to this in a later slide, that a major is not really job training. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Any questions so far from anyone? All right. Okay. Okay, so, oops, let me go back. Okay, so the first one was your interest and passion. What do you enjoy? And again, the emphasis is on you. What do you like? What do you find interesting? What do you have fun doing? What do you want to learn more about? I say this because a lot of times I'll have students come in and they pick a major, and then when it's time to register for the next semester, and we go to choose their classes, they start to say things like, oh, do I have to take that class? And is that class required? And then when they start to say that for every class, it's usually an indication of maybe this major isn't for me or for them in this case, right? If you're not into the classes, if you review the curriculum and you're saying, ugh, I'm not looking forward to that, I'm not looking forward to that, I'm not looking forward to that. If you're not looking forward to most of the classes, then okay, let's look at our options. Let's see what else there is. A lot of majors can lead to the same career. So just because you're one major doesn't mean you're eliminating yourself from these other career options. So a lot of times students think, oh, I have to be this certain major, for example, to go do this job, but that's not really the case. So it's really important to, talk to your advisors, talk to our admissions counselors. I'm happy to talk to you and just see what all your options are before thinking like, okay, if I want this career, I have to do this major, but this major maybe doesn't interest me that much. So maybe you can do this other career, other major that gets you to the same place. And that's really what we want. That's the beauty of having a lot of majors to choose from. So hopefully you like it and you enjoy it. What are your strengths, right? What are you good at? What do people say? Hey, you're really good at X. Maybe hey, I'm a really good listener, or I'm a really good writer, or I really enjoy, working with people. I really enjoy working with kids, whatever it may be. I could keep going. But what are your strengths? Because a lot of times when you match your interests with your strengths, that is a wonderful, wonderful match. What sometimes happens is, some people are interested in something or like something, but maybe they're not as strong. And so I'll give you an example. I like drawing, but I'm not a good artist. I'm not very good, but it's fun for me, right? So it's a great hobby. I would not make it as a professional artist. I just don't have the skills, right? It's not there. So I think, and again, I'm not trying to defer anyone in any way, but I think it's just kind of having that self-awareness, right? And making use of what you like and also have some skill in. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be absolutely proficient and amazing and excellent, but some natural skills in that area is so helpful. It's less frustrating, it's more rewarding, and people just overall tend to be more satisfied and happy when those two come together. What do you value? So what's important to you? And there's no right or wrong answer here either. For some people, it's more important that they, have a certain lifestyle and make a certain amount of money. For other people, they care much more about what they do day to day, and money isn't as much of a factor. I'm sure it still is a factor, but maybe it's second or third on the list. Do you want to help people, or not that you don't want to help people, but is that at the forefront of what you want to do? Or do you want work that interests you and the people part isn't as valuable? So, or not as valuable, as important maybe, or as much of a priority. So again, no right or wrong answers there. Everyone is different, and it's all about understanding what is best for you and what you prefer. So that's something where you can kind of make a list and say, okay, and start thinking throughout your college career. Maybe once you've picked a major, you're starting to say, okay, what is more important to me here? What do I really want? What am I looking for here? And I think that understanding really helps narrow down some options for students. Your environment, right? Do you want to work on a team? Do you want to work alone? Do you want to be on your feet all day? Are you okay with sitting at a desk? I hear that a lot. I hear students say, I don't know if I could sit at a desk all day. And I say, well, you could always get a standing desk or, move around. There's other options. Do you want to be able to work remotely? How important is the commuting factor and where the job could be located? All of that you can start to think about going forward. And then the amount of people do you want to work with? Do you want to work in a group setting? Do you prefer to work alone? For a lot of people, this can be flexible. And in a lot of environments, there's a little bit of everything. I work on a team of people, but, right now I'm giving this webinar alone, right? But there's opportunity for individual work and group work. And I think that's the case in a lot of roles, but not everyone. So also important just to consider. Understanding your options. So here I have a list here of, and again, I'm in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. So I picked our majors here. So this will take us right to our page that lists all of our majors and our programs that you can major in gender, sexuality, women's studies, language, business and culture, medical humanities, and then in addition to all these majors: anthropology, classics, humanities, English, history, justice studies, linguistics, philosophy, political science, psychology, religion, child advocacy, sociology, Spanish, writing studies, and then we have a few languages that you can also major in. Let me click it. They're listed all right over here on the side. So, and again, I can always send you this link, and it's right on our website. And then this is the link to all the majors and minors that we have in the entire university, which it's helpful. I'm not going to go through them all and list them, but you can just kind of skim it, because sometimes you might come across something that you weren't aware of, or you're like, oh, I'm not sure what that is, or I'm not sure, I didn't understand, or I didn't know what that major entailed. I didn't know, that was even an option. And sometimes you discover something that you're like, I might want to try that. And that's the other thing. You can always take a class in something. Even if you declare one major, you can always take a class in something else and see if you like it. You can change your major that first semester. It's not the end of the world, and I'll get to that next. You might see something, when you're in high school before you even get here, and you say, you know what, I'm gonna try this major. I'm gonna take a class in it, and it's not like, okay, I've signed the document and now I can't change. You can pivot if you decide it's not for you. And that does happen. And kind of here's where I'm saying explore your options. So when you come in, oftentimes students come in, and if they're in a major, they take a class or two in that major, but then they're taking a lot of general education courses, which general education courses are, Montclair State is a liberal arts institution, and all students have to take courses in order to graduate. It's about 42 credits of gen ed courses. So it's writing, everyone has to take a writing, everyone has to take a public speaking, everyone takes a math, a science lab, a history, a world culture, a global course, things of that nature, computer science. I could keep going, but I think you get the gist. So in those options, so you have to take one of those classes, but you can pick which ones are most interesting to you. And that is a great opportunity to explore majors. So again, sometimes you end up taking a class and it's for a general education requirement, but you're like, hey, I actually really like this. Maybe this is what I want to major in, or maybe I want to double major, or maybe I want to add this as a minor. And it's something that, I didn't know enough about before I took this class, but now I do. So I always try to encourage students to do that, because that is the beauty of college, is getting to explore and learn about different subjects that you may not have had a lot of exposure to previously. And it can really, open up some doors for you. So sorry, this is a lot of text, but career versus a major. Certainly your major can lead to a career, but it is not job training. So no major is going to tell you exactly what you're going to be doing when you get that job or when you leave and go in to start your career, right? That job training is often done on the job, right? But what the major is doing for you is all these other things listed on the screen. It is sharpening and developing your communication skills, right? Your listening skills, your negotiating, your public speaking, those analytical skills, right? Your problem solving, your synthesizing, your evaluating, your planning, your leadership abilities, your information management, right? How good are you with analyzing data and using different software systems? Like right now at Montclair, in my role, we use about 10 different systems. When I was an undergrad, half of them didn't exist, right? So you learn that as you go, but those skills from the undergrad major are like, being able to communicate well when you're not sure about something, being able to ask good questions, being able to be a quick learner, being good on a team, working well with others, time management, scheduling, attention to detail, and then of course, teamwork, compromise, all that, collaboration. And some of that stuff sounds like, like really that's that important, or that's what employers are looking for? Yes, that is what people are looking for, because the on-the-job skill stuff, they can train you, right? But they want you to be polished in all of these things. And all of these things you can learn and develop in a lot of different majors. So that's why your major should really be something that you enjoy, because you're going to develop these skills in any major, right? So pick something that you enjoy, that you don't dread going to class every day for years, right? Pick something that you're passionate about. And what if I change my mind? It's okay. It happens more than you think. Sometimes it happens in the summer before students even come, right? So they decide, okay, I'm coming to Montclair as a X major, as a, a psych major. And then they decide in August, just kidding, I am going to switch my major to English. And I want to be a high school English teacher. That's fine. It happens. We'll work with you. We can, you work with your advisor. We can update your schedule. And again, a lot of times, first semester freshmen, they're taking a lot of gen eds anyway, which can be transferable from a lot of majors. So you're going to be okay. Not knowing what you want to major in is very normal. It's also fine and normal if you do know what you want to major in, but no matter where you are on the spectrum, no matter where you fall, you're absolutely fine. So there doesn't have to be this overwhelming rush or pressure to decide. Sometimes you need to, take some classes and see what's out there and see what feels right to you. Other times students know when they know at 15, this is what I'm going to major in and this is what I'm doing, and they stay with it. Other times students think they know and they get going a little bit and they say, you know what, I took these classes, I'm doing it, or maybe I'm doing an internship in the field that I would go work in, and this isn't for me. That is just as valuable as knowing what you want to do in a lot of ways, because if you're able to cross something off the list, it's excellent. It saves you so much time down the road of getting into that career and then realizing, okay, this career isn't for me. So then, of course, you can pivot later, but if you can find that out earlier during an internship or, a summer position, that's wonderful. All right. So that's what I had for you guys. And I can take